Hello friends, Techman Pat here. Today we're looking at a pretty interesting debacle in the telco world. Aussie Broadband versus Superloop. The fight is on. I want to run through with you the timeline of what's happened from back before the land of time. Aussie Broadband was making money, and then they lost a lot of share price. So let's have a look at what's happening with Aussie Broadband starting court proceedings against Superloop, a fellow RSP. Make sure to like this video if you did and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's roll the intro. Of course, as always, with videos like this, we're going to do a desktop share. The first thing I want to bring to you is where it all started. Aussie Broadband has been growing their revenue in the first half of 2024 really well. They had an initial acquisition already made, and this was just the beginning. Things were looking up for good old Aussie Broadband. Revenue grew 17.7% to $445.9 million. And as said by Philip Britt, reflecting our strong customer offering across all business segments. And of course, the EBITDA grew by 12.7% to $46.3 million. That's important to the actual share price. That's how you calculate the value of a company, really, the ultimate profit, how much money the company is making. All was going well. So what did Aussie Broadband do next? Well, the only thing they could do is buy another RSP, this time Superloop. And for that, they priced it at $467 million, which values Superloop at 95 cents per share. Let's have a quick read of the yellow highlights there. The statement said that based on the last closing price of Aussie Broadband shares, which was $4.53 on 23rd of February, this implies a total value to Superloop shareholders of 95 cents per share. So what they did is they bought about 19% of Superloop shares at 95 cents. Furthermore, Aussie Broadband was paying 33% premium above the average price for Superloop, which was 71 cents. And that's a pretty good deal for shareholders. However, Superloop was not thinking it's a good deal at all. In fact, they told Aussie Broadband, as I talked about in the previous Dirt report, that doesn't take into account the value of the company. So this is where it starts getting a little bit interesting. First of all, why was Aussie Broadband wanting Superloop? This is the part that put a question mark in my head. Well, it turns out that Origin Energy, a very large holder of NBN customers with Aussie Broadband, was moving to Superloop. Now this number is 130,000 NBN subscribers, and they will be joining Superloop's customer base. Not only that, Origin's entire infrastructure will also be moving across to Superloop. This is a massive hit to Aussie Broadband's bottom line. Now then, we're going to talk about the stock market at the same time, because Aussie Broadband had to tell their investors what was happening. And on the same day, the 14th of March, they announced a termination of white label agreement, saying that Aussie Broadband has been in discussion with Origin for over 6 months regarding a desire to migrate Origin from the current white label offering to a layer 3 wholesale model, under which Aussie Broadband would provide network services as it currently does, and Origin would assume responsibility for the technical and accounts call center, billing, customer portal, and collections functions currently provided by Aussie Broadband. Now, the part that I think is pretty interesting is that in FY24, Origin white label wholesale agreement is expected to contribute an estimated 14 million EBITDA to Aussie Broadband. So out of that 46 that they had, this was a substantial chunk. And that's concerning. All of a sudden, the media got a hold of it, and the Aussie Broadband price crashed significantly by almost 20%. We'll have a look at that in a moment. The sold-off ASX telco stock announced it received unexpected notice on the evening of 13th of March 2024 that Origin Energy will terminate the agreement effective 12th of April. So they've got a bit of time. Now, all these announcements, as you can see, they're all happening around that 24-48 hour period. Let's have a look at the Aussie Broadband price. When they announced they were buying Superloop on the 23rd, look at that beautiful jump from $3.80 to around $4.70, and they bumped around here at $4.30 once everything settled down. When it was announced that Origin was leaving, because my scribble here says so, this massive drop happened. This is well below what they've been trading for many, many months, from the September 23 to February 24. This is quite a few months, and fell down to $3.55, where they've been kicking around. So what happened to Superloop's share price? Well, Superloop got a bump. In fact, double bump. So they were at around 70 cents, which is what Aussie Broadband said that they were on average on, and they were going to pay a 30% premium at 95 cents. So the price was kicking around 95 cents during the time between the announcement Aussie Broadband wanted to merge and acquire Superloop and the moment that Superloop announced that they are now the latest holders of Origin's account and gaining 130,000 NBN customers through Origin. Of course, also all the Origin services. And of course, this jumped to $1.40. This is a massive cap. This is pretty incredible. And it settled down at $1.16. So why are we talking about share prices and stocks? Well, this is significant because Superloop has now released an announcement a day later, on the 15th of March, seeking Aussie Broadband to dispose of their shares below 12%. Right now, Aussie Broadband owns 19.9% of Superloop's shares. However, and I'll read this out here, promptly after becoming aware of Aussie Broadband's acquisition, Superloop wrote to Aussie Broadband raising its concern that the acquisition of SLC shares by Aussie Broadband was a contravention of Superloop's constitution. Aussie Broadband has confirmed that it is in breach of Superloop's constitution. Superloop's constitution prohibits acquisitions of 12% or more without the requisite statutory approval from the IMDA in Singapore. The relevant constitution powers which are prominently disclosed on Superloop's Investor Center websites, and they are there to protect Superloop's ability to meet its statutory obligations. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, what is this Infocom Media Development Authority? That sounds like a government entity, doesn't it? It's not just another company like Singtel owning Optus, it's something a little bit different. So let's have a quick look at their About Us page. This will tell us a lot. First of all, the mission is to drive Singapore's digital transformations with Intercom Media. Not Australia's, Singapore's. The IMDA develops and regulates the Infocom and media sector to create a dynamic, holistic, and exciting ecosystem filled with growth opportunities through talent, research, innovation, and enterprise. Singapore, not Australia, has laid the foundation for thriving ecosystem. As architects of Singapore's, not Australia's, digital future. We strive to ensure businesses, that the workforce, and the public are ready for a future enabled by Infocom and digital media. As a statutory board in the Singaporean government, not Australian government, we seek to deepen regulatory compatibilities for a converged Infocom media sector to safeguard the interest. To be honest, I don't know what they do. But again, it says Singapore here, not Australia. So whoever this is, the Infocom Media Development Authority, has put in place a rule into the constitution of Superloop that somebody is not allowed to buy more than 12% of their share price on the ASX without their say-so. Is that concerning? Is that okay? I don't know. Feels a little bit strange. It could be okay. I could be completely wrong that another government agency could be telling the Australian Superloop or an Australian ASX listed company how to do things. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Let's continue. Now, mergers and acquisitions are very popular, and this isn't something new. What's interesting is this request by Superloop to get Aussie Broadband to dispose of shares and reduce their owning to 12%. So what did Aussie Broadband do? Well, they put up an update on their, obviously, ASX listing announcement saying that they have actually failed to comply with the requirements in the Superloop constitution at the time of acquiring the 19.9% interest in Superloop. And it was inadvertent that that happened because they were wanting to merge and acquire them. Furthermore, they released another one the day later that after the market close on 18th of March 2024, Aussie Broadband commenced proceedings in the Federal Court of Australia, Victorian Registry, against Superloop and each of its directors seeking both permanent and interlocutory injunction to set aside the notice and or to restrain Superloop from acting upon or giving effect to the notice. After all, Aussie Broadband has the right to go acquiring other companies, but those companies also have the right to say no. The reason I wanted to share this with you is because it is kind of unprecedented in the world of telco, such a big shakeup. And it's not major powers that be. It's not Telstra, it's not TPG, it's not Vodafone. These are fairly small players, but Aussie Broadband is growing rapidly and purchasing Superloop will make them almost twice as big. This is pretty massive. They could become a large player within the Telstra and TPG space. And so out of all the companies out there, Aussie Broadband seems to be, I guess, the closest. And mergers and acquisitions are really the way to do it when you're in space like this. So I'm not surprised. What I'm really interested in to see is how this court proceedings will actually proceed. I'm excited to see what will happen. Will Aussie Broadband be allowed to continue purchasing the shares and just take over Superloop? Is the country allowed to control a company that's on the stock market? I mean, look at Optus. They're owned by a Singaporean holder, so you never know. Friends, let me know your thoughts below. Is it as exciting to everyone else as it is to me? Maybe not, but thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you all in another video. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you later. Bye.